Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Welcome to the webinar, Visualizing Network Security using the Anapaya Console and Anapaya GATE. My name is Yvonne Cano-Helg. I am the Chief Marketing Officer at Anapaya, and I am very happy today to welcome you to our webinar. But first, before we get started, let's get started with a few housekeeping rules. So first off, there is a Q&A function, which you should all have access to. Throughout the webinar, if you do have questions, feel free to pop those in there. And then at the end of the session, we will have a few minutes to address all of your questions. We'll address those in chronological order, so you can start adding them at any point. Also, in terms of the content for today, the recording and the presentation, we will be sending that after the webinar, probably around Monday. And as you heard, we will be recording and sharing this presentation, so you can actually have that on demand in the future for viewing as well. And then finally, we will be sending out a survey that will help us improve this format. Our goal is to do more of this kind of webinar system to engage with you and also address some of your questions and concerns around SCION, and of course, involve you in more of this kind of content as well. Now, to get started, I would like to welcome Kiveli Mavromati. She is from our customer success team, and I pass it on to you, Kiveli.
Hello, everyone from my side. Thank you for joining this webinar today. As Yvonne said, I'm Kiveli Mavromati, and I'm a customer success and software engineer here at Anapaya. And with the rest of the customer success engineering team, we take part in the software development for new features, but we also handle customer and partner onboardings from the technical pre-sales part to low-level designs, initial deployments, handover to operations, as well as technical trainings. I've been with Anapaya for 3 years now, and my background is in electrical engineering, and actually did my master's thesis on SCION, and this is how my interest for SCION initiated, and now I get to expand on that here at Anapaya. Today's webinar will start with a short introduction on who we are as Anapaya, and then we will talk about how Anapaya GATE can help boost the security of your systems and protect from network threats. Then I will give a presentation on Anapaya Console, and we will transition to a hands-on demo that highlights Anapaya GATE and Anapaya Console. At the end, we will discuss the key takeaways of today's webinar, and as Yvonne mentioned, we will have a Q&A session. Now let's start. Who we are as Anapaya. We are a spin-off of ETH Zurich, and we were founded in 2017, and currently we have 34 employees from 20 different nationalities. We are a software company that is building SCION-based solutions, and our mission is to build a secure, reliable, and flexible internet. How can we achieve that? How can we revolutionize the internet? We do this by building cutting-edge networking products based on the SCION protocol in order to make networks inherently secure, always available with no service interruption, and built in a way that gives users unprecedented control and insights over how the data is flowing through the internet. And we managed to do this in a way that is scalable for the ever-evolving needs of the businesses. Before I move on with the main content of the webinar, I would like to give a brief introduction on the main Anapaya products, because I will be using this terminology throughout the session, and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. At Anapaya, we have the core, the edge, and the gate products. The core is what enables an internet service provider to offer SCION connectivity to its customers. It is deployed in the backbone of the ISP, and we can see this in the big hexagons with the C icon in the middle here. Then the edge is what enables end customers to offer services to participants of the SCION internet and consume services via the SCION internet. The edge is deployed within the customer premises, and you can see it with the E symbol at the corporate office and private cloud, as well as the public cloud workloads. Then finally, we have the gate, which enables residential users to consume services that are only available in the SCION internet. The gate is deployed within the ISP, and you can see it with the G icon on the diagram. And it is one of the main focus points of today's session and our next section in this presentation. Now let's discuss how Anapaya GATE can help protect your services from network threats. Especially after the pandemic a few years ago, more and more people are working from home, and businesses need to ensure that their services are protected and that only authorized users can access them. This is exactly where Anapaya GATE can help. Companies can select the critical services that should not be accessible through the public internet and instead make them accessible through the SCION network in a secure way through the Anapaya GATE. In this setup, companies can further choose specific ISPs that can access their services, so it's not even the entirety of the SCION network that can access them. You can see in the diagram here in green the SCION network and the 3 Anapaya gates deployed in Switzerland. We have a gate running at Swisscom, one at Sunrise, and one at SwissIX operated by Anapaya. And with these 3 gates, we achieve 100% coverage in Switzerland. These gates enable a secure connection to services such as cloud workloads or VPN servers, for example. And the users can be home office workers, IoT devices, any appliance, any device that can get access to the SCION network. These services are only accessible through the SCION internet. They are not accessible through the public internet. As we can see here, this orange bubble that signifies the public internet cannot access the SCION internet and therefore cannot access the services. This helps in reducing the attack surface from the whole internet to the specific SCIONabled allowed providers. And what cannot be seen cannot be attacked. Now, this all sounds good in theory, but how does it work in practice? On the right-hand side, you can see in the big hexagon the backbone of the SCION network. A company wants to offer a service through SCION, and this service is hosted at the customer headquarters, which we can see here, and they have deployed an Anapaya Edge with the E icon. A remote worker wants to connect to this service through their laptop or mobile phone. This user does not need to know anything about SCION. They will just connect to their ISP's network and send their traffic towards the destination. Then, after the user sends this traffic will be connected by the gate of the ISP. Then the gate will check, is there a route for this destination through the SCION network? If so, the traffic will be routed through the SCION network to the SCIONabled destination, which in our case is the company headquarters. Then the edge at the customer location will handle this traffic and send it into the internal customer network to the actual service. And for the return traffic, the opposite route will be taken. So the service in the internal customer network will send the traffic to the edge deployed there. Then from the edge, the traffic will go through the SCION network. It will reach the gate at the ISP, and then it will reach the remote worker. It is very simple. And now, to show you how simple this is to get access to a SCIONabled service hidden by the gate, I have the first question of the webinar for you guys. I would like all of you to pull out your phone or your laptop and open your favorite browser and navigate to gate.anapaya.net and then run the connectivity test. Please. Yes?
Sorry, Kelly. I also added the link here on the chat for everyone.
Please do not connect from a corporate network or through a VPN service. We want you to connect from the normal providers that you have, for example, at home, depending on from where you're connecting, of course. And also note that for the location where you're located, please answer based on the country field in the connectivity test that you will do. So you may be located in some country, but your ISP is located somewhere else. We want to see what the connectivity test shows for you.
We have the poll running now. We have a few submissions. We're waiting for a few more. We'll wait a few more seconds. Okay, we are almost there. I'll give a few more seconds here. Okay. Ending the poll now.
Okay, perfect. Hopefully you can see the results on your page right now. We see very much an expected behavior with some outliers that I would like to discuss. So people that are in Switzerland can connect to the GATE service, as the service is allowed to only be accessible through Switzerland. Some people are located in Switzerland but cannot connect. What we've seen in the past is that sometimes in demos, people are not aware that they're connected in a corporate network or through a VPN service. And since they're connected through a VPN or a corporate network, then they cannot get access to the public SCION network. What is also expected is that people not in Switzerland cannot connect to the service, and this shows the reduction of the attack service. And then for the people that are not in Switzerland and can't connect, also if you're connected in a VPN service or a corporate network, depending on what your corporate network is and how you're connected, the traffic might get backhauled to Switzerland because under the hood you're working for a Swiss company, and that's why we see these results. But with this demo, we can see that the attack surface is reduced from the whole network to the specific SCIONabled providers. Now that we discussed the Anapaya GATE, I would like to continue and discuss Anapaya Console. As the deployment of Anapaya appliances has been increasing, it has been necessary to have a tool that provides a centralized network management. And Anapaya Console serves as an entry point into the Anapaya product world. And with Console, we have three main goals. First of all, we want to make the operational state of your appliances and the SCION network accessible. Console offers human-friendly visualizations where you can know at any point what the state of your infrastructure is, what your current traffic flows are, as well as what the state of the general SCION backbone is. Additionally, Console offers a simplified configuration management. So from now on, you no longer need to connect to each appliance individually and run the CLI commands. Now there is a centralized way to push configuration changes, view your configuration, get them approved by other operators in a much easier way. And then finally, with Console, you can profit from cross-organization validation. For those of you who may not know, in the world of SCION, there are some configuration parameters that need to be agreed across organizations and are prone to human error. And this refers mostly to SCION peerings, which are very similar to normal network peerings. With Console, you can make sure that the configuration agrees on both sides of these peering links. And if something is not as expected, you will get validation errors, and then you can check with the other organization if there is some configuration mistake. Now, who is Console for? We have two main target groups in mind. On one hand, it's the ISPs and the managed service providers. We want such organizations to be able to manage their own infrastructure in an easy, efficient way, and be able to easily add new SCION links, configure a much larger number of core appliances, and check how the state of their infrastructure is. Additionally, we want this organization to be able to manage their customers in an easy way. With Console, in one tool, you can have the viewpoint of your organization, but you can also take the viewpoint of your customers, assuming they have granted you permission. So now there is a single way with a single tool that you can manage your organization and your customers' infrastructure. On the other hand, we also want end customers to be able to use Console. With Console, end customers will be able to see how their traffic is flowing and for any changes that they may push to see what effects it's going to have on their traffic patterns. Additionally, end customers are able to subscribe to alerts and notifications without having to set up their own monitoring infrastructure. Now that we had a short introduction on Anapaya GATE and Anapaya Console, I would like to move on with a hands-on demo that highlights both of them. And we have three main goals for this demo. First of all, I will highlight how Anapaya Console offers visualization capabilities and overall improvements to operational processes. I will also showcase how Anapaya GATE allows organizations to control who can access their services. And then finally, I'll demonstrate how Anapaya GATE enables organizations to control how traffic is routed in the network. Now, allow me a second to switch my sharing screen, and we will resume with the demo in a second. Here you can see the demo environment of the Anapaya Console. And we're going to use this today to highlight how the Anapaya GATE can help protect your system. I'm connected now to a standard view that an organization would have. And in the main part of the screen, you can see this dashboard. The different hexagons represent the different SCION autonomous systems, or ASs for short. And you can see that we have hexagons of different colors. This represents the different isolation domains, or ISDs for short. And for context, in the world of SCION, ASs are grouped together in isolation domains, and these groupings are based on who has the same root of trust. So in every isolation domain, there is a subset of ASs that all entities need to trust, but it's not the whole isolation domain, it's just a subset of this. So for example, here we have in light blue the Swiss isolation domain, and in dark blue, we have the European isolation domain. Since this is a demo environment, this is a much smaller network compared to the actual production network, but it still fits for the purposes of our demo. In this organization, we have a deployment of two edge appliances, which you can see with the E icon around the network, here at the headquarters and here at the Paris office. This organization wants to protect the access to their internal network, and for this, they have deployed a VPN server here in their headquarters, and they have a requirement that all users need to connect to the server. The users involve all the remote users in Switzerland, as well as all the employees in the Paris branch office. To make this VPN server accessible in the SCION network, they have deployed an edge in their infrastructure here at the headquarters, and they make use of the Swiss Anapaya gates. You can see the gates deployed here in Sunrise, Swisscom, and then at Anapaya running at SwissIX. If we run on the Zurich headquarters edge, and then on the VPN service configuration, we can see in the dashboard the different traffic flows with different colors. So we see that indeed there is traffic going between the headquarters and the Paris office in dark green, as well as between the headquarters and the three gate providers, Sunrise, Swisscom, and Anapaya, in order to connect all the remote users in Switzerland, which we can see connected here. For the rest of the session, I would like to focus on two things. The first is how Anapaya GATE and Anapaya Console can help your organization control who should access your services. And then the second is how Anapaya GATE and Anapaya Console can help you define how your traffic from your services flows. Now let's focus on the first one. I mentioned earlier that with Anapaya GATE, the organization has full control over which entities can access their services. We have here this dashboard. I'll click on the VPN server and scroll down. We have here this dashboard with which we can enable and disable the specific providers that can access the service. So for example, if all employees of an organization have Swisscom and a Sunrise access as a provider, and the organization does not want to allow any other users to access the service, they can push the configuration to disable users of the SCIOnabled gate. So I will toggle this here, and if we go back to the dashboard, we see that there is no flow between the Anapaya gate and the headquarters. Of course, if the business requirements change, the operators can enable it again. Here I push the configuration again, and now we see this light blue flow is back in the dashboard. We see here also we have simulated access from the public internet. Right now, this public internet access is disabled. I have my second question for you for this webinar. What happens if there is a DDoS attack happening from the public internet? What will the impact be to the users of the service? Please reply in the poll that should have appeared on your screen.
All right, they're slowly coming in. Few more seconds so everybody gets a chance to submit their response. All right, ending the poll.
Okay, I see a very good intuition of the audience here. Let's see this in practice. I will enable the access from the public internet. So right now, our service, our VPN service is enabled through the SCION internet and through the public internet. And I will also launch a simulated attack from the public internet. We see that as long as the public access is open, our service has a problem. Then the moment we cut off access from the public internet, all the users that we actually do want to attract can continue using the service with no service interruption, and there is no way for the malicious actors in the public internet to actually attack our service. And this is really, really powerful. In case of an attack from the public internet, you just disable the public access. You don't even have to expose your service in the public internet if your users have access to an Anapaya gate. This can give immense control and protection to your organization. With the gate, you choose who can access your services, and your attack surface can be reduced from the entirety of the internet to the specified SCION providers you allow here. Our Sunrise, Swisscom, and SwissIX users do not have any problem using our VPN server, no matter the DDoS attack that is ongoing. The malicious traffic never reaches our service. Now that we saw this first point, I would like to go to the second focus point of the gate demo. And I would like to show you how we can further enhance traffic control and define how traffic is routed in your network through Anapaya GATE and Anapaya Console. In SCION, appliances choose the best available path based on the real-time performance of the network, using a combination of latency, bandwidth, and jitter as a metric. This can be further enhanced by traffic policies. Basically, the center organization can define specific policies to determine how traffic is routed in the network. For example, organizations can define policies to ensure that traffic stays in Switzerland, or to prefer specific providers, or avoid some other providers. What is really useful is that these policies can be very fine-grained and can be applied to only a subset of sent traffic. So if you have some really critical services, you can apply a very restrictive policy, and then for less critical services, you can apply a more relaxed policy. For example, now if I go back to the headquarters configuration on the VPN service, we see here this table, and we can see the different prefixes that we're announcing in the SCION internet, the different traffic matchers, and the remote endpoints. This is the SCION AES number representation. Just for context, it's a bit different from the BGP AS representation. But where I want to focus is here in this light blue flow, which if you remember from above is the flow between the headquarters and the Anapaya GATE at SwissIX, we have defined the traffic policies that we always want to prioritize paths through Switzerland and Europe. But if no available paths exist from Switzerland and Europe, maybe there is a network problem, then any available path is okay. We also see here that based on this path filter, what the selected path is, and we see it's from headquarters to Swisscom to Anapaya. And if we go back here, indeed, the path is from the headquarters, Swisscom, and Anapaya. What is also great and gives great insights into the operational state of your network is that you can click on the selected path and you can get, of course, the hop pattern that is used, as well as performance metrics such as the throughput, the latency, the jitter, and the packet loss, and also when the path expires. And for the rest of the session, I would like to highlight how this actually works, and we will configure such a policy together and see it take effect together. So for our example, I would like traffic between the headquarters and the Anapaya GATE at SwissIX to use the path headquarters, Cyberlink, everywhere, Swisscom, Anapaya at SwissIX. First, we need to define a path filter for this. So we navigate to the Path Filters tab, and then we click on Adding a new path filter. We need to give a name to our policy, so I will call this webinar. And then we can specify the source and destination AS. So our source is going to be the headquarters, and then our destination, we want it to be the Anapaya AS. Since I'm doing quite a restrictive policy, I'm specifying every hop on the path. I will specify a hop pattern, and we want to start from the headquarters. Then we want to go to Cyberlink. Then we want to go to everywhere. Then we want to go to Swisscom. And finally, we want to go to Anapaya. You see here, we have a very user-friendly drop-down menu where you can search based on the name of the organization or the AS number of the organization. So you can always add these hops very quickly. And what is also very powerful is that as I was typing, you may have noticed that the red and the green links in the dashboard were changing color. This is because as you're defining the traffic policy, you can get live updates of how this policy would affect your traffic. It shows you which paths would be rejected according to this policy and which paths would be allowed according to this policy. And we see that indeed the only allowed path is what I have defined, what our desired path was. If you wanted to have a slightly less restrictive policy, you could have also used wildcard fields in the AS number to, for example, allow any AS. And you can also specify if you want this to be a single hop, at most one hop, at least one hop, or 0 or more hops. It really depends on the use and the needs of your business. Now that I have defined this, I will click on Save. And we see that now our webinar path filter has been included in the list of path filters. Now, so far, I have just defined this path filter. It's not been added in any configuration. I will navigate to routing domains and click on the VPN service. And here I will click on traffic policies so I can actually add our new path filter into our configuration. I will click on edit and then I will add our path filter called webinar. And I want this path filter to be the very first that is taken into account. So I will move it to the very top. And according to this failover sequence, as we call it, first our webinar path filter will take effect. If it doesn't have any available paths returned by this, then any path to Switzerland and Europe is okay. And if all paths in Switzerland and Europe are down, then all available paths are acceptable. So I'll click on Save after these changes. And we see that as I clicked on Save, we got this little red warning on the appliances page. If I go here, we see that for the Zurich headquarters appliance, the status is modified. This is because I have added a configuration on console, but the changes have not been pushed to the actual appliance. Maybe I'm looking from the head of networks operations to approve this. Maybe I want to push more changes together. Let's actually deploy the changes together. I will click on the Zurich headquarters edge. I will click on this important deploy button. And here we can see the view with the difference between the undeployed changes and the deployed changes. So on the left, there is this undeployed change, which indeed adds our webinar path filter with this hop pattern that we defined. I review, I say, okay, this difference is what I want to push. I click deploy. We also get a confirmation dialog to make sure that I didn't misclick accidentally and push some really bad changes. Now I confirm, and I get a dialog also, configuration successfully deployed. So in just a few minutes, including explanation, we have configured a new path filter and added it in our configuration. Now, if we go back to this dashboard and we click back on headquarters and VPN, we see that indeed the traffic from the headquarters to the Anapaya gate at SwissIX is going from the path we defined. It's following the path headquarters, Cyberlink, everywhere, Swisscom, Anapaya. We did this together. What happens if I bring down a link? I'm enabling chaos mode. This is only a demo feature. In production, of course, we don't bring links up and down like this. But let's say that this link is down. There is a network problem. We see now that the next sequence that we had defined, the Switzerland and Europe, takes effect, and we go back to this path that we had selected before. The moment that this link is back up, we revert to our most preferred policy. So as we said before, this can be any policy that you want to define. Stay in Switzerland, prefer provider, avoid provider. It really depends on your needs. It really depends on your services. Now, this was the demo section of this webinar. I will go back into my slides. And I would like to discuss the key takeaways. With Anapaya GATE, you can protect your critical services with a significant reduction of attack surface. Your critical services can be VPN services like the ones we discussed today, but it can be any other service that you want. Currently, we have 100% coverage in Switzerland with Anapaya GATE. We also have SCION access available in Benelux through cloud providers. And in 2025, we'll also have full SCION coverage. So if you're interested, please reach out to us. Then Anapaya Console offers a straightforward way to onboard new services into the SCION internet, and it provides an insightful visualization of the real-time state of your network. I would like to thank you for taking part in this webinar today. We will proceed with the Q&A, but before we go there, I wanted to say if you're interested in Anapaya GATE, Anapaya Console, or SCION, please reach out to us. You can book a meeting through this QR code. And if any new technical questions arise that are not answered today, you feel free to contact me via email at mavromati@anapaya.net. Thank you very much.